Viewmasters, it's the podcast that we do. Viewmasters, talk about movies that we view. Viewmasters, my friend Eric and me Joe. Viewmasters, hey, let's start the show.
Hello, welcome to the Viewmasters, episode 249, The Sound of Metal. My name is Eric.
My name is Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Mr. Secrets. How are you?
Doing well.
Excellent.
Keeping my secrets.
You're not revealing any secrets lately.
No, not at all.
Okay, good. You need those.
I do, and in fact, this is going to be a very weird podcast for you because I am keeping my review of this movie a secret.
Wow. That's never been done before in the history of podcasts. I don't know, maybe it has.
Yeah. I think it's just called not talking about the movie.
I think you're right, which we've done on several occasions.
Uh-huh, yep. Probably more than anyone would really care for.
It's true. It's true.
They are all here to hear our hot takes about whatever movie we're discussing.
Yes, and whatever issues are I don't know what, floating through the air. What do issues do?
Impact?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, whatever
headlines?
impactful, whatever issues are making headlines. There you go. That is what issues do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I completely lost the power of speech there for a minute.
Oh, it's okay. At least you could hear.
That's true. At least I had that going for me.
Yep. You are not broken.
Whoa, hey. Hey now.
You're an all-star?
Let's not. Yes, I am an all-star. Thank you for finally acknowledging it.
You're very welcome.
No, I was going to say let's not alienate any of our listeners who maybe can't hear. I mean, that's just rude.
I mean, too late. We
Fair.
We make an audio podcast.
They might be reading a transcription of it.
Are you making transcriptions of our shows after every episode?
Not after every episode.
Oh, okay. But some?
Just the ones I really like.
Okay. Just the ones that you pick.
Yeah, I did one after Mank for sure. That episode was a banger. I was thinking about doing one for next week's episode, or not next week's, last week's. I don't know what next week's episode's going to be.
Hey, neither do I.
Just guessing, but I'm probably going to want to transcribe it.
Who knows? Like, we'll find out in 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes?
I guess we will. I'll reserve my decision until then.
I guess it depends on if we have much to say about this movie.
That's true, yeah.
Which I guess,
yeah,
I might have a few things to say.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
I have a few things to say as well, probably.
Excellent. Glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. You want to get into it?
Sure. All right, who's starting the podcast this week?
I think you are. I think it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Hello, and welcome to the Viewmasters, blah-bitty, blah, blah, blah. So, hey, I don't know about you, but I had some audio problems with this movie. Like,
really?
sound kept dropping out, and it was just weird. Like just it sounded distorted sometimes. I don't know what was happening.
Yeah, I had the same problems, actually. I wonder if maybe that was on purpose?
Huh. That seems weird. Oh, boy.
So this movie was not at all what I expected it to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I expected it to be, but it, yeah, I guess it wasn't that.
Yeah, I expected there to be more metal, I think, honestly.
I did too. But let me just go ahead and say right off the bat, I, for one, am very glad that he lost his hearing within the first 20 minutes so that we didn't have to hear his band anymore because they are fucking terrible.
I actually agree with you. I did not care for their music.
Holy shit, what an awful band. Just everything about it. There's only 2 members. They're named Blackgammon.
I did like the name. Come on.
Their music is shitty.
Blackgammon is legitimately clever. It would be even more clever if all of their songs were about board games that 70-year-olds play.
Maybe they were.
That's true, maybe. I don't know.
It was
I didn't know
very
what they were
hard to hear
saying.
the lyrics.
Yeah, it was just like, is it noise metal or what is that called?
Oh,
I don't know. Like
don't
the
know.
type of metal that they were doing, I did not care for.
It was some weird experimental stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super seasoned on metal.
Right. It's not any kind of metal I would want to listen to.
Gotcha.
I can guarantee you, though, that if Jason Young had seen this movie, he would have loved it, probably.
He'd be looking to see where he could get Blackgammon's album.
Yep. Absolutely. Because I am pretty sure I've listened to very similar bands with him, like in his car or at his house.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. That sounds like Jason.
There's a real crust punk vibe happening throughout the movie with Ruben. That I think our friend Jason would have enjoyed immensely.
Did you say crust punk?
Yes, I did.
What is that? I've never heard that before.
Kind of a genre of punk that is just very noisy and messy and kind of just revels in like sort of the vagabond DIY lifestyle that Ruben and Lou seem to latch onto.
Okay, interesting.
But also just with an extra layer of just gross and stupid.
A crust, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of gross crusts.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
And I would honestly say the most crust punky aspect of Ruben is just his shitty tattoos.
He does have a lot of real bad tattoos.
He has underwear tattooed on his bicep.
That I loved. That was awesome. And that may have been his best tattoo. Which is really saying something. I liked that we didn't get a ton of backstory for Ruben, but like the tattoos and the poor quality of them, I feel like tells you a lot about him just immediately.
I think throughout the movie, I mean, for sure, you're right. But I feel like every bit of information about both him and Lou that we get about like their pasts and their lives prior to the opening of this movie is done exceptionally well.
Yeah,
like it's never just like an exposition dump. It's just hints here and there, and there is a lot of heavy lifting on the clothing and the tattoos for sure. But everything is just hinted at enough that you get exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and even like her relationship with her dad, who we don't meet until very late in the movie,
like last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, and we only really even see them together for just a little bit of that time, but it's so well conveyed through what little we see of it,
right?
That it's just I thought this movie was excellent.
I mean, this is a very difficult movie to watch, but I mean, as much as I can love a movie like that, I did love this movie.
Yeah. I don't know that it's a movie that I would be like, I'm just gonna watch Sound of Metal again, just to relax.
Yeah,
though there was definitely something kind of relaxing about just the extended sequences of silence, and just, I mean, it was relaxing, I thought, but also just totally captivating.
Yeah, I think definitely the strongest segments of this movie is, when Ruben, accepts what has happened and becomes a part of his new community. And just, the scenes of him like playing with deaf kids and just like the deaf community just, living their lives, I thought was very, very well done and so well told. That was almost serene.
Yeah, definitely.
Which like we get into the final act, and I think the movie takes a turn. Which it's one of those things for me where I don't know if it's the movie takes a turn or because Ruben is, I mean, so my main takeaway from the movie is that Ruben is a man who makes terrible decisions all the time.
I mean, I can see that. I can see how you could get that.
Because, I mean, everything about this movie is him just making the worst decision. Even when presented with just the best possible outcomes, he always goes for the worst one.
Yeah.
And so, like, the latter, final act of this movie, just, I don't know if I'm just mad at him for making that wrong decision, or if, I'm just upset at the movie.
Yeah. No, I think that there is something that I've always found anyway, sort of inherently frustrating about movies about addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating to see someone that you're rooting for and they have their inevitable sort of relapse.
Right.
And in this movie, Ruben is a he's a drug addict.
Yes.
He's in recovery. And he never relapses in that respect. But he sort of, like you said, their middle sequence, he learns sign language and he sort of accepts that he is deaf now, and he becomes a member of that community and becomes really well integrated into it. And then the relapse that he experiences sort of is away from that acceptance and back towards, no, I can still, get this surgery and I can have my previous life back.
Right.
And yeah, there is something that's definitely frustrating to see that. And then seeing him at the end, he realizes that, I mean, guess not that it's. I don't know what exactly he realizes at the end, I guess. Like, he realizes that Lou is now better off. Definitely.
Yeah.
But then, and he realizes that the implants suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like, he sort of, it seems like he finds the stillness that Joe mentions earlier in the movie. But there's always sort of the question of how long something like that will last with a character like Ruben, I feel like, anyway.
Right. Because, I mean, spoilers, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I just talked about the whole end of the movie, so sorry, everybody.
Yeah, you're fine, but it's just like, you're right. That's sort of the ending of the movie, but then, like, this is the kind of the movie that you think about, and you're just like, well, what happens to him next?
Mm-hmm.
Because my initial thought is that, well, he's obviously going to try to integrate himself back into the community again, but they've sort of shunned him.
Yeah.
Because he, and the way they present it is like, they're not Joe, the sort of mentor character. He's not angry at Ruben. He's just more disappointed that Ruben would, not necessarily turn his back on the community, but just, I guess, sort of take an easy way out, I guess.
Yeah, I read it more as, like, yeah, I agree. It's not like a turning his back. I think again, I look at it as like a relapse kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily an easy way out, but it's definitely not the path that he had been on before.
Right.
When he was more, a part of the community.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's just, it's hard for me to associate the word relapse with just, not necessarily, a substance, but,
Sure.
with, yeah, it's his old way of life and his old, way of thinking even. As a guy who has never had something as significant as my hearing taken away from me, it's hard to, imagine what it would be like. And the fact that early on he gets the notion, planted in his head that, oh, he can get his hearing back, I think sets him down this ultimately kind of self-destructive path.
Yeah.
And so, even though he, becomes integral to his new life, that as he, learns how to be deaf, the fact that little nugget is still just always in his head, and part of it is just, I would say I could, fuck, I can't think of words.
That happens.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I just said the word I'm trying to think of. Relate. Relation. That's the word. I would say the one thing that I can relate to with Ruben for sure is, that I absolutely kind of would call an addiction is that to another person.
Mm-hmm.
And his addiction basically to Lou.
Yeah.
And their relationship and just wanting to have that back. And I think part of that is that it's like he doesn't think that they can still have a relationship if he's deaf.
Right.
Not even considering whether Lou would even agree with that or not.
Yeah, he definitely, like, even when he is, becoming integrated into the deaf community, he still never really lets it go, because he's always sneaking off to I don't know, check his email or just check up on what Lou is doing.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately what leads him to get the cochlear implants. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the addiction is more to the relationship than it is to, or maybe just to what his idea of their relationship is, than it is to anything else.
Right.
I absolutely related to that as well.
Yeah. Which, words are hard, man.
I know. I understand.
Can we just sign the rest of this episode?
It'll be really boring for the listener.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Okay, perfect. I really liked when he is first, among all of the deaf people who are signing, and there's no subtitles, and then as he learns sign language, then they start to subtitle things. It's I thought it was just a clever way to bring the viewer into his experience.
Yeah.
And it's similar to what they do with the sound.
I'd thought about that as well. That it's it made me think of all things. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The 13th Warrior.
I have not.
With Antonio Banderas.
Oh wow! No, okay, I have not seen that for sure.
He's like a Spanish warrior or something who gets ousted from his kingdom or whatever, and winds up basically hanging out with the Vikings.
Okay.
But he, doesn't speak their language, and so for the first 20 minutes or so of him being with this group of Vikings, they're just all speaking, Nordic or whatever. But then as he begins to understand them, little bits of English crop in, and then finally he learns their language and it's all in English.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah, it really is. Probably the best thing about that movie. But yeah, I like that as well. And so this is a movie that I did watch twice.
Okay.
And as I've mentioned, probably every episode, I believe that I am actually losing my hearing. I am definitely getting worse as I get older. So I watch pretty much everything with subtitles because it just helps me more clearly understand what I am watching, and it helps me focus a little bit too. There's that aspect as well.
Sure.
Keeps me from my phone all the time, but there's, a hearing aspect to it too. This movie actually better without subtitles.
Yeah. I thought, having subtitles on during that sequence in particular, the sign language sequence. I don't know if that was subtitled for you with the actual subtitles turned on.
With subtitles turned on, they still, keep the same thing that happens.
Okay, that's good.
They don't subtitle any of the sign language until he begins to understand it.
Gotcha.
But a lot of the sound design, does get captioned, and that turns out to be very distracting.
Yeah, I bet.
Because everything is low hum, metallic sound, feedback, muffled blah blah blah.
A lot of muffled blah 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 in the
there
movie,
was a lot of muffled blah blah blah. But yeah, when I watched it the second time, I watched it without the captioning on, and yeah, it's a much better experience, honestly.
That's awesome.
And I think that helps the sign language thing have more impact. But of all the recent movies that have come out that we can only watch on our home entertainment systems, this is honestly the one that I wish I'd kind of seen in a theater.
Yeah, I bet the sounds on, or the sound not on a big screen, but in a theater with theater quality speakers, I bet that would have been really cool.
Yeah. I can only imagine what that experience with that surround sound would be like, to just have the different effects that they pull off. But also that said, I don't want to cry in a movie theater, so
right.
So maybe for the best.
Yeah, save that for the privacy of your own home, for sure.
Oh man, I made the mistake of seeing The Big Sick at a theater.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think we saw that in a theater too. and yeah, that was a rough experience in public.
It mostly would have been okay. Because it turns out I was the only person in the theater.
Oh, nice.
But like in the last 10 minutes of that movie or whatever, which are some of the roughest, like the fucking usher just like came in and stood like right beside me.
What the hell?
Right?
No.
I got angry.
That's infuriating.
Yep. I mean,
but
normally...
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we've sort of touched on it a little bit, but the sound in this movie is super cool.
Yeah.
And the way that they do the effect of Ruben, when he first loses his hearing, and then what it sounds like for him as things progress, and then especially the cochlear implant. I had no idea ahead of time what that sounds like for people who have it, so I don't know how accurate this is or not. But it was really interesting, and I thought it was really well done.
I think that's. There's a few things in this movie that sort of took me out of it at the moment. And part of it is, the constant wondering is this accurate?
Yeah.
Or how would they even figure out how to convey, that, or what that would actually sound like? How do we, know for sure? But the way they present it, it certainly is, and not in really a bad way, but just obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it'd be real annoying.
Yeah, I would
to have that happen in real life.
Yep. And just talk about a $40,000 to $80,000 buyer's regret.
Yeah, holy shit. It's not like you can go back and be like, all right, you can take this out and I'll have a refund, please.
Right. Oh,
man.
Boy. Yeah. And not just, just for the effect of what it is and the, but just the personal cost to him.
Right, yeah.
For doing that. Which again just goes back to this is just a movie about a man who makes bad decisions. And it starts out at the very beginning when he does start losing his hearing, and the doctor tells him, well, avoid loud sounds, and then he immediately performs a show.
Yeah, that was Disappointing.
Yep.
He should not have done that.
Yeah.
I was glad that his attempted deception did not go on for much longer than that.
Yeah.
Like I think part of what I thought this movie was going to be was it was going to be about a guy who is losing his hearing and then tries to hide it.
Yeah.
And so that was a nice surprise, I suppose.
Yeah, I figured it would be more of a. I guess I figured it would be more about like the band.
Yeah.
When really it was more about just his personal journey, which
Yeah.
I definitely far more appreciated.
Yeah.
And it was partially because of just how shitty that band was.
I do wonder. So, like, he sees the video of her in Paris or whatever, and she's performing with like all these just electronic things, and we don't get to hear what that sounds like, but I really wondered what that sounded like, and just how ridiculous and terrible it was.
It sort of reminded me a little bit. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's fucking awful, whatever it was. But it reminded me of, I saw this video of, I don't know the guy's name, but he was the guitarist for Limp Bizkit. He used to like wear weird costumes and makeup and shit.
Okay.
Then he got fired from Limp Bizkit, and so this was him like after that, like just performing in like like a VFW hall or something like that. And it was just him and his guitar, and he had like like an effects box like she has in that shot. So it was him like just he would like play like a chord or a riff or something and like record it and then put it on a loop, and then he would do that over and over and over again until he finally had like what sounded like a full band, and then he would like start playing. It's just like I could not imagine sitting through this like in person.
So I have seen Andrew Bird does stuff like that.
Okay.
And when he does it, it's really cool.
Right.
Because he is an excellent musician. But yeah, no, I've seen other people do it, and it's kind of intolerable.
Yeah. I've seen Reggie Watts do it, and it's entertaining, but he's a relatively entertaining comedian, so and that's part of his shtick too. So
right. Andrew Bird is hilarious. I don't know if you know that about him.
I do not.
He's fine. He's
okay.
Not really. just an extremely talented musician.
Alrighty. I don't know who he is. I've heard the name, but yeah, not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you would like him or not.
I feel like Jason has mentioned him a bunch, and I think we can just say anything Jason likes, I'm not a fan of.
Jason does love Andrew Bird.
Oh, Jason and I have a lot of overlap in our musical tastes, but we have a lot of gaps too.
Oh boy.
But no, yeah, this was just a very effective movie.
Yeah.
It had me, captivated all the way through. And like you had mentioned earlier, it's a movie where you're rooting for this guy and just watching him make mistake after mistake. It gets upsetting.
Yeah, definitely.
And just, I don't know. I did find, a few things, like I mentioned earlier, that just kind of took me out occasionally. Such as, he sells all his stuff to get these cochlear implants and has no money and goes to beg his sort of sponsor, I guess, for money.
Yeah.
Who does not give it to him. So how does he afford to fly to Belgium to go visit Lou spontaneously?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Yeah. And then also,
maybe he's signed up for a credit card.
Sure, yeah.
He's not worried at this point.
And then also, like, I don't know, like, the length of time, that takes place when he's in the community and he, learns sign language, essentially.
Yeah.
But listen, I, was born to a Spanish-speaking parent. And my other parents, while not a naturally Spanish speaker, knew much of Spanish.
Yeah.
To the point where they debated, when I was born, are they going to raise me as with Spanish as my first language? And they did not, which definitely makes me angry sometimes. Because that forced me to take Spanish in high school, and I was terrible at it. And retained almost nothing. So I don't think I could learn sign language in a relatively easy amount of time.
Yeah.
So I would assume it would have taken him... admittedly his situation, involves, adapting quickly. So that he can communicate with people.
Yeah.
But I would still imagine it would take some time. And yet he still maintains the same shitty haircut with the same shitty bleach job. Is he just going out to the salon every couple weeks to just get touch-ups on his tips? I don't understand.
I was going to say that I agree the timetable during which the movie takes place is a little vague.
Yeah.
And I wish we'd gotten a better indication of just how long it takes place over.
Right.
His haircut had not occurred to me. That is a glaring plot hole, movie. That's a classic cinema sin right there.
It stays the same shape and length the entire movie until he shaves it off.
That's item number 1 in my YouTube video, Everything Wrong with Sound of Metal.
Excellent. I look forward to watching it. I will admit, the scene where he shaves his head, I did back up on that, thought for a minute. I was like, okay, well, if his hair had changed drastically, then we wouldn't get this moment.
True.
Yeah. I will say that made me very uncomfortable to watch when he shaves his head around the scars.
Yeah, I did not care for that either.
Not a fan.
First when he takes the bandage off.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then, the shaving and just, his wincing throughout was, man, that was hard to watch.
Yep. But, he did a pretty good job, and as someone who shaves my own head occasionally, I was impressed with how well he did.
Well, good. At least we know for sure he got one thing right.
That's the
How
only
to shave
thing
his
he got
head.
Right.
But yeah, like I said before, I thought this movie was really excellent.
Yeah, I would. Even though I watched it twice, I would definitely recommend it as at least a once watcher.
Yeah, I might see if I can talk Jenny into watching it. I think she would like it too.
I think she might. Yeah. I don't know her emotional state, but
she's doing all right.
Okay, I know. She was fairly upset at last week's episode of WandaVision. So,
well, it was pretty upsetting.
Well, sure.
She had been rewatching The Mandalorian, and she got through the end of season 2 last night and did not break down in tears when Grogu and Mando said goodbye. So I think she's doing okay.
All right. Also, spoiler for Mandalorian season 2.
Whatever.
And also,
it's been out for months now.
You have just violated the number 1 rule in my house.
Oh shit! I called him Grogu and not Little Baby Yoda. I'm sorry. I don't. That's probably the first time I've ever called him Grogu in conversation. It's always Baby Yoda. I don't know what came over me.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I desperately am.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
anything bringing you some joy this past week?
Sure, it's a kind of a dumb thing.
I love it.
We've heard the stories about my cat and just what kind of an obnoxious asshole he is at times.
Yeah.
But, sometimes he is incredibly sweet and loving, and I do enjoy those moments for sure. But anyway, so last Sunday, and I should probably preface this with my Sundays are weird, because I work third shift on the weekends. So I come home on Sunday morning at like 7:30, 8 a.m., and then I go to bed and I sleep for like 3 or 4 hours and get up and stay awake so that I can, resume my normal day job shift for Monday.
Sure.
And during the pandemic, being stuck at home and not being able to see people, it makes my Sundays super weird. Because, I just want to sleep all day. Prior to the pandemic, I would hang out with people and do stuff, and it would keep me awake and going and doing stuff. So it's just been me and the cat since June. But he is obnoxious and needy and anxious and does not let me do much stuff. But this past Sunday, around 3 o'clock, he disappeared, and I got a lot of work done, and it was great. And I didn't see him again till almost 8. And
do you know what he was doing?
Huh? I think he was just sleeping somewhere.
Aww.
Which is the first time he's just been a normal cat.
That's awesome.
And I got so much stuff done, and I started scanning in a bunch of... I'm trying to put together a book of my artwork of sorts. But, I have not been able to just have the time to just sit and scan without him being up in my face or whatever. And he was gone for 5 hours, and it was amazing. And
awesome.
That is what's bringing me joy.
That's a pretty great thing.
Oh, what about you?
I don't really have anything.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like for the past week I've just sort of been just hanging in there. So
yeah, I'm glad you're hanging in there. That brings me joy too.
Aw, thanks.
To know that you're surviving.
Yeah, I mean we've been watching Ted Lasso on Apple Plus.
Okay.
And I'd heard a lot of people talk about how great it was,
right.
And it's fine. I enjoy it, but it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard similar things about people who just say it's great, but I don't have Apple Plus, and I don't care for Jason Sudeikis that much. So
yeah, I really don't either. I feel like or maybe it's because the stuff that I've seen him in, he's just plays sort of a douchebag,
right?
And he's so good at it.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect to like him on this show, and he's fine.
Yeah.
He's sort of a well-meaning buffoon, a little bit, which is fine. It's just a nice show, I guess. It's not great, but it's not changing my life, but it's nice, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's this internet thing where everything has to be the best or the worst.
Right.
And nobody acknowledges that, sometimes things are just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middling things are fine too.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been watching the TV show Get Shorty.
Oh, nice.
The first season was on Netflix like a couple of years ago. I was at my old place when I watched it, but they never got any of the other seasons. But Amazon has all 3 seasons now, so I've been going through that, and it's fine. It's entertaining. That is the bare minimum I can ask for from it, right?
Yeah. It looked fun.
Yeah, it's good. Ray Romano's good. Chris O'Dowd is good.
Nice.
There's other people in it. So I guess I should pick a movie.
If you like.
I would. I've been struggling to think of something to watch. Partly because I put some self-inflicted pressure on myself because next episode is 250. And because, I've been raised as a comic book geek that I celebrate milestones like that.
Right. It's going to be double sized.
Right. But instead I was like, just pick a fucking movie.
Yeah, I feel like the just to pause you for a second there, I feel like the celebrating every 50 issues thing is a relatively recent, like, 90s thing, maybe. Like, they had to find a reason for things to be events. So, well, why don't we just do it like, every 25 issues, every 50 issues, we can put a hologram on the cover and say it's a big deal. So, I feel like older comics weren't as concerned about, like the hundreds for sure, but stuff in between I feel like wasn't as big a deal.
I feel like I recall like Spider-Man 50 being a big deal or Fantastic Four 50. That was when, not 450, but, Fantastic Four issue 50.
Yeah.
That was the, Galactus saga, so I don't know, it just, but yeah, the big milestones like just always seem to present to me.
Sure. No, I totally get it.
And I definitely remember them from the 80s for sure. Or, sometimes they would just have a random double-sized issue for no reason. But
True.
But yeah, no. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, let's just pick a fucking movie. So I have a huge blind spot for anime.
Okay. As do I.
And so I know that HBO has like all the Studio Ghibli movies or whatever that's pronounced.
Yeah, I think it's Ghibli.
Yeah, okay. But we're not going to watch one of those.
Okay.
The movie that I'm picking is on Hulu. And it is, from what I hear, the most depressing movie ever made. So get your, self in gear for that.
Oh no.
I'm picking Grave of the Fireflies.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
All right. It's from, I believe, 1988. And it's a World War II movie.
Oh, wow.
But it's an anime.
All right.
And as I said, considered one of the most depressing movies ever made.
And this is a Joss Whedon thing, then? I assume it's tied to Serenity and all that?
No, you're thinking of Firefly Lane, which is new on Netflix.
Oh, shit, you're right. My mistake. Awesome. Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah. I'm excited and stealing myself.
As am I. And then maybe we've already built ourselves up too much and we'll have no reaction to it whatsoever. Who knows?
I mean, it was super depressing in the 80s, but is it super depressing now?
It's true,
We'll see. Times have changed.
That is true.
Nazis are back.
Yep. So Hulu, I believe, does have both a dubbed version and the subtitled version. So
okay,
I will watch the subtitled version like a true cinema fan.
That's probably what I will do as well. You just It's a shame we didn't see this in a theater, or we could make it one of our biggest flexes.
Yeah, I retweeted that meme today.
I know.
Yeah.
I still think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like the first person listed Interstellar.
I know. Yeah, I thought about calling them out, but I already had an internet troll today. I didn't need a second one.
That's fair.
And yeah, I wasn't quite sure what they were asking, especially by including something like Interstellar in there.
Yeah. I saw people like listing like The Dark Knight,
right?
And other like recent movies.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Like the way I took it was just like movies that, didn't get a following until like they were on video or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So that's the criteria I used. And I was like, I picked movies basically from 1996 because that's when I was seeing a lot of weird movies in theaters.
Sure.
And then afterwards I was like, I should have included the Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
I've never seen that.
No one has. Except me and my mom at the Neon in 1995 or whenever.
That's awesome. I saw Batman Mask of the Phantasm at Page Manor with my dad
that
when
to
it
me
was
seems
originally
like a flex.
released. I feel like that is a flex.
Because I didn't get to see that movie in theaters. And boy, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Maybe someday for like the 40th anniversary.
I feel like Fathom did something a couple years ago. I know it was when I was in Seattle. I feel like they re-released it.
Yeah. I know I saw
But anyway.
I saw Superman the first one for the 40th anniversary a few years ago. So
yeah, I did that as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's not a flex.
Right. Yeah, anniversary re-releases don't really count.
No.
We should go on Twitter and lay out the criteria for this meme.
I'll let you get a head start on that.
Excellent.
Right.
I'll do that after dinner.
Alrighty, sir. Well, we will see you next week with Grave of the Fireflies.
Excellent. See you then.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to The Viewmasters. You can subscribe to the show directly at view.guttertrash.net or at iTunes and leave us a review. Visit view.guttertrash.net for email information and links to Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time on The Viewmasters.